Thank you.
Okay, so let us start with the opening recitations. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. Thus, until I achieve Buddha, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. All sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in the glorious kind rune Guru, the embodiment of the exalted body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities of the Tathagatas of the 10 directions and the 3 times source of the 84,000 heaps of Dharma, and Lord of all the noble Sanghas. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage Gurus. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the idams. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the perfect dharmas. We take refuge in the noble sanghas. We take refuge in the assemblies of viras, dakinis, and dharmapalas, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the idams. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the perfect dharmas. We take refuge in the noble sanghas. We take refuge in the assemblies of viras, dharkinis, and dharmapalas, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the idams. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the perfect dharmas. We take refuge in the noble sanghas. We take refuge in the assemblies of viras, dakinis, and dharmapalas, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Until I attain the heart of Bodhi, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas develop Bodhi mind and progress on the bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all wandering beings, give rise to bodhicitta, and I apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of Bodhi, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas develop Bodhi mind and progress on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all wandering beings, give rise to bodhicitta, and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path until I attain the heart of Bodhi. I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of Bodhisattvas, as the previous Buddhas developed Bodhi mind and progress on the Bodhisattva's path. I too, for the benefit of all wandering beings, give rise to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent. I take refuge until Bodhi is reached by the merit of generosity and other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent. I take refuge until Bodhi is reached by the merit of generosity and other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent. I take refuge until Bodhi is reached by the merit of generosity and other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. May all mother sentient beings limitless as the sky have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings limitless as the sky have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings limitless as the sky have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. Bhajra Samaja, Bhajra Samaja, Bhajra Samaja. Protectors of all sentient beings without exception, deities who vanquish the ruthless hordes of Maras, knowers of everything as it is. Bhagavans and your retinue, please come here. Argyam Padhyam Pushpe Dupe Aloke Gende Nevede Shapta Pratija Soha. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, for continent, sun, and moon. I hold in mind as a Buddha land and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure realm, whatever slight virtue that may have been gathered through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and beseeching, I now dedicate to complete Bodhi. Namo to the Guru, the complete purity of phenomenal existence. I make offerings to you who manifest in the ground of phenomenal existence and supplicate you for the total liberation of the three realms. Grant your blessings of dredging samsara from its very depths. Lord, wish-fulfilling gem, ornament of my crown, beyond word and expression is your victorious mind. Endowed with the five superior primordial wisdoms, epitome of love, the one with kindness, precious protector of wandering beings. I supplicate you in the innate state of my mind. Bless me in that state of suchness. Grant your blessings for realizing this primordially birthless and completely pristine mind as the Dharmakaya beyond thoughts to the Bhagavan, the Tathagata, the full destroyer, the completely perfect, fully awakened one, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, gone to bliss, knower of the worlds, tamer of beings, charioteer and unsurpassable one, teacher of gods and humans, the supreme and incomparable king of the Shakyas, who is free from the minutest stains, placing my head at your feet, I pay homage with devotion. When you were born supreme among humans, you paced out 7 steps on this great earth and declared, I am supreme in this world. Homage to you who was wise even then, possessing a pure body and an excellent supreme form, an ocean of wisdom, a mountain of gold, famed throughout the 3 worlds. Homage to you, supreme protector, with the supreme marks and a face like the stainless moon. Homage to you, golden colored one, free from stains. There is none like you in the 3 worlds. Homage to you, incomparably wise one, supreme among humans, charioteer and tamer of beings. The Tathagata who severs the all-enmeshing fetters, who with senses pacified and utterly pacified is skillful. Homage to you who dwelt at Shravasti, you protect the who possesses great kindness, all-knowing teacher, perfect one, basis of oceans of merit and qualities. Homage to you, the Tathagata, purity, the cause of freedom from attachments, virtue that liberates from the lower realms. This alone is the sublime ultimate reality. Homage to the Dharma that pacifies, having been liberated. You show the path to liberation, devoted to the moral precepts. You are a field of perfect qualities. Homage to you, the sublime Sangha. In all the worlds of the 10 directions reside Tathagatas of the 3 times. Before each of you lions among humans, I prostrate joyfully with body, speech, and mind. By the power of this aspiration to noble deeds, all conquerors appear vividly in my mind. With as many bodies as there are atoms in all lands, I prostrate to all you conquerors. In each atom are Buddhas, numberless as atoms, all in the midst of the heirs of the Buddhas. Thus I conceive of this Dharma Dhatu as completely filled with you conquerors. In this way, with infinite oceans of praise and oceans of diverse melodies, I sing the excellent qualities of all you conquerors, and praise all of you gone to bliss with the best flowers and best garlands, best music, ointments, and excellent parasols, finest lamps, and superior incense. I offer to you conquerors with excellent garments and best fragrances and sandalwood powder, heat pine as Mount Meru. All wondrous offerings perfectly arranged, I offer to you conquerors these vast and unequal offerings to each and every one of you conquerors with the power of conviction in noble deeds. I prostrate and offer to all you conquerors all the harmful deeds that I have done with my body, speech, and mind under the power of desire, hatred, and ignorance. I confess each and every one of them. I rejoice in all the meritorious deeds of all the conquerors in the 10 directions and the heirs of the Buddha, solitary realizers, here still in training and beyond, and all wandering beings. You who are lamps of the worlds of the 10 directions, who have unobstructedly attained Buddhahood through the stages of Bodhi, all you who are my protectors, please turn the unexcelled wheel of Dharma. With palms together, I earnestly beseech you who may intend to manifest final nirvana, please remain for as many eons as there are atoms in the world, for the happiness and well-being of all wandering beings. Whatever slight virtue that may have been gathered through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and beseeching, I now dedicate to complete Bodhi. Now just let body and mind to settle evenly. Let body settle into its own place. Let mind settle into its own place. Settling so that the body is content not to move and the mind is content not to move. Not particularly forcing your body not to move or particularly forcing your mind not to move, but try to find that place where you're actually content, where the body is content to not move, to not fidget, where the mind is content to not stray and wander. Think of the qualities of the Buddhas, especially the example of Buddha Shakyamuni. How even after attaining the state of Buddha, spent most of his time letting body and mind settle, not moving, not straying. That most of his days were spent in the state of meditative equipoise, with the body and mind evenly settled. With body and mind content. Do not wander, do not stray, do not fidget, do not move. Not because of exerting some kind of control, not because of forcing, but simply the body and mind finding their own places of rest and openness. Sit as Buddha Shakyamuni sat. Sit as all Buddhas of past, present, and future have sat, are sitting, and will be sitting. Sit as if you're sitting under your Bodhi tree, your spot of waking up, your place, your Bodhgaya, at the indestructible Vajra throne. Be content. Do not move, do not stray, do not run around. If simply letting body and mind settle is still a little bit challenging, then you can add the element of breath arising and ceasing and pervading both body and mind. Let breath act as the agent of pacifying both body and mind. Note the sensations of breath arising and ceasing, coming and going. Be content to be nobody. Be content to be going nowhere. Sit as Buddha Shakyamuni sat. Settle as Buddha Shakyamuni settled. Now let's turn to the Tara text. If I can get a volunteer to read, just read in English. Don't need to chant from page 1 to page 4. If you can unmute yourself and read.
Utterly and sincerely, I pay homage to exalted noble Tara and all the conquerors and their heirs, dwelling in the 10 directions and 3 times. I offer flowers, incense, lamps, fragrant scents, food, music, and the like, physically and mentally conjured. Noble lady and your complete retinue, please accept them. From beginningless time until now, the 10 non-virtuous and 5 heinous sins arisen from the mind under the power of afflictive emotions, all these misdeeds I lay them bare. I rejoice in on the merit of all the virtues accumulated in the 3 times by hearers, pratyeka's, bodhisattvas, and ordinary beings and so forth. Please turn the wheel of Dharma of the greater, lesser, and common vehicles in accordance with the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings. Until samsara has been completely emptied, out of compassion, do not pass into nirvana. Please have regard for sentient beings, sinking in this ocean of suffering. Whatever virtue I may have gathered, may it become a cause for the awakening of all. May I quickly become an excellent guide for all wandering beings.
Now back to page 1. We will chant in the Tibetan. Jason Pama Droma Dan Joju Duzum Shupa Ye Gyawa Seje Tamjela Kune Tangwe Chasel Medo Dupo Mamedri Shashi Romo Lasoba Mojo Igi Tunebu Pame Sonam Shesu So Toma Mene Tate Bar Mige Chudan Samenga Seni Nyomo Magyurbe Dikpa tamche shabarji ninto ramgyao chanchu sem soso gewo laso be duzun gewa jisang be sonam lani dagi ran semche namki sampada loyi jeta jitawa jechun tumon tepa ye choki korlo kordu so korwa jise matumbar nyangye mida tuje ye dunya gyaso chingwa ye semche namla shiksu so dagi sonam chisangpa tamche chanchu gyugyu ne ringpo mito dhova ye drenpe peldu dhagyu ju. Page 5. Jizma Pama Droma La Chaselo Chasel Dare Nirma Pamo Tu Dare Yijik Basel Ma Ture Dongkwe Jimpe Droma Soha Yige Gyola Dudo Chasel Droma Nirma Pamo Cheni Geji Lo Dang Drama Jiden Sun Gun Chu Ge She Shi Ye Sar Je Wa Le Ni Juma Cha Se Tong Ge Da Wa Kun Du Gang Wa Gya Ni Sek Be Shama Karma Tong Cha Sok Ba Nam Ki Rab Tu Je We Ora Barma Cha Se Ser Ngo Chu Nye Ke Ki Pe Me Cha Ni Nam Par Gen Ma Jin Pa Chon Du Ka Tum Shi Wa Zot Pa Sam Ten Chu Yu Ni Ma Cha Se De Shin She Pe Su To Ta Ye Nam Par Gya Wa Cho Ma Ma Lu Pa Ro Jin Pa To Pe Gya We Se Ki Shin Tu Ten Ma Cha Se Tu Ta Ra Hong Yi Ge Do Dang Cho Dang Nam Ka Gang Ma Jik Ten Tum Po Shab Ki Nen Te Lu Pa Me Par Gyu Par Nyu Ma Cha Sao Gyan Shin Me La Chang Pa Lung La Na So Wang Chu Cho Ma Jung Po Ro Lang Dri Sa Nam Da Nu Jin Su Ki Du Ne To Ma Cha Se Tra Che Ja Dan Pe Ki Pa Ro Tu Ko Rab Tu Jom Ma Ye Kum Yong Kyang Shab Ki Nen Te Me Ba Tru Pa Shin Tu Bar Ma Cha Se Tu Re Jik Pa Chen Mui Du Gi Pa Wo Nam Par Jom Ma Chu Ke She Ni Tru Nye Den Ze Dra Wo Tam Je Ma Lu So Ma Cha Se Kun Chu Sum Son Cha Ge Sor Mo Tu Kar Nam Par Gen Ma Ma Lu Chu Ki Kor Lo Gen Pe Rangi Uki Sok Nam Chuma Cha Se Ram Tu Ga Wa Jibe Ugyen Uki Treng Wa Perma She Parab She Tu Tara Ye Du Dang Jing Den Wang Du Zema Cha Se Sa Shi Kyung We Tsok Na Tam Je Gu Par Nyu Ma Ni Ma Chune Yo Wa Yi Ge Hong Yi Pong Pa Tam Je Nam Pa Droma Cha Se Da We Dum Bu U Ge Gen Pa Tam Je Shin Tu Bar Re We Tro Na O Pa Me Le Tak Bar Shin Tu O Rab Ze Ma Cha Se Kyao Pe Ta Me Me Tar Barwe Trengwe Unanema Ye Kyang Yong Kum Kun Ne Korge Dra Ye Pong Ni Nam Par Jom Cha Sel Sa Shi Ngo La Cha Gi Til Gi Nun Ching Shab Ki Dum Tro Nye Chen Ze I Ge Hong Gi Rim Pa Dum Po Nam Ni Gem Cha Se De Ma Ge Ma Shi Ma Nyang Yen De Shi Chu Yu Ni Ma So Ha Om Dang Yang Da Den Pe Dik Pa Chen Pui Chum Pa Ni Ma Cha Se Ku Ne Ku Ram Ga We Tra Yi Lu Ni Nam Par Gen Ma Yi Ge Chu E Ngak Ni Ku Be Rik Pa Hong Le Do Ma Ni Ma Cha Se Tu Re Shab Ni Da Pe Hong Ki Nam Pe Sa Bun Ni Ma Riramendaradang big jig den sunam yowanima. Chasela yi cho yi nam peri dak ta je chagna nam tarani ju peki ige dung nam malu pani selma chasela yi so nam gyao bu la dang mi am ji yi ten ma kunne go cha ga we zi so dang mi lam ngen pa sel ma cha sel ni ma da wa ge be jin ni bo la u rab sel ma hara ni jo tu da ra yi shin tu tra bu rim ne sel ma cha sel de ni tsum nang ko be shi we tu dang yang da den ma Don dang ro la nu jin so na jom pa tu re ram chu ni ma ca we nga ki to pa di da cha se wa ni shu sa ji. So now I'm going to play the recording of the chant of the 21 Towers in English. For those of you who want to do some prostrations, you can also do 21 prostrations as this is being chanted. Or if you are ambitious, you can do 42. Actually, altogether 45. If you want the very first line, just the one line, homage to Tara, noble and sublime, is one prostration. And then for each of the 4 lines, you can do 2 prostrations. And then at the end, you do 2 more, and that's 45. But that's entirely up to you. If doing 45 is too much, then for each verse, 1 prostration, then you can do 21. Yeah. Otherwise, you can just follow along the text and chant in English.
Homage to Tara, noble and sublime. Homage to Tara, the swift and courageous. You drive away all our
I hear nothing.
With syllables, so we offer you homage. Homage to Tara, the swift.
Are you hearing anything?
Gazes as
Now I
quick
am.
as flashes of lightning. From Lord of Triloka, his face like a lotus. You rose on a billion.
Nothing.
No sound still.
Yeah, I can hear Fabula, but I can't hear nothing else.
Okay, let's try. Let's get someone else. Javier or Omar. See if you can find 21 Tara's English and share the sound and see if it works. Either Javier and Omar, if you can find it on YouTube.
Hey Fabiola, did you share that on the
Sorry?
Stricken Dharma Fabiola? I think Fabiola shared the link. Just trying to find the link.
Yeah, so somebody found it now.
Oh, okay, good.
Omar, I think. Oh, yes, it works, yeah?
Homage to Tara,
Works?
Yes.
Homage to Tara, the swift and courageous. You drive away all
Omar, go back to the start again. Okay, go ahead, start.
Homage to Tara, the noble and sublime. Homage to Tara, the swift and courageous. You drive away all our fears with Tutara. Saviors fulfilling all aims with a tutor. With syllables, so we offer you homage. Homage to Tara, the swift and courageous. Gazes as quick as flashes of lightning. From Lord of Triloka, his face like a lotus. You rose on a billion full blossoming stamens. Homage to you with a face that resembles a meeting of 100 full moons in autumn. And who with the brightness of stars by the thousands shine in a vast perfect light of resplendence. Homage to you, the golden-hued lady, whose hand is adorned by a blue lotus flower. Your scope of activity is giving exertion, fortitude, peace, tolerance, meditation. Homage to you, the victorious founders, from the Tathagata's crown emanated. Those who obtain every transcendent virtue, offspring of victors, rely on your guidance. Homage to you, filling realms of desire, its aspects in space with a horn and tutara. Sevenfold worlds under feet you can trample. You bring all and everything under your power. Homage to you who is worshipped by Indra, Animaru, Vishnu, Vara and Brahma. all the Vitalas, Buddhas, and others, as well as the Yakshas give praise in your presence. Homage to you who Vajran and the Pisans, crush every magical wheel, evil forces. Right leg extended and left bent you trample, within whirling flames you are blazing intensely. Homage to you, the swift terrifying, who conquers the most tenacious of Maras. Knitting the brow on your lotus-like features, you slay every foe without an exception. Homage to you with your fingers in mudra, adorning your heart to show the three jewels. Your muscles of light are beautiful swirling, connecting with every direction in circles. Homage to you from your crown manifesting, joyous, majestic, brilliant garlands, with the great clangor of laughter to Tara. Demons and worlds are in your domination. Homage to you with the magnetized powers, who gather protectors of earth in assembly. With syllable long in your brow which is frowning, you liberate every poor destitute being. Homage to you with the Cretan and moon crown, while your adornments so brilliantly sparkle, and Amitabha is placed in your top knot. Ceaseless the vast rays of light radiating. Homage to you seated in flaming garlands, engulfed in a fire like the end of the Kappa. Right leg extended and left bent defeating enemy hordes with your joy-bringing swirling. Homage to you with your palms you are striking the earth while using your feet to be stamping. Regally frowning with the home ladder, you shatter the sevenfold layers of locusts. Homage to you, blissful virtues and peaceful, enjoy the domain of the tranquil nirvana. Fully possessing the Om and the Soha, you overcome even the greatest of evils. Homage to you, encircled by joyous, utterly smashes the forms of opponents, clearing away with the hum of awareness, arranges the mantra by tenfold of letters. Homage to you with feet stamping to it, fully presenting the form of the home seed. You cause the three worlds to all be a tremble, including Manmero, Mandara, and Vindhya. Homage to you in whose hands is a deer mark, shaped like the Deva's ocean of nectar. Sound of the paean, the twice of the Tara, without an exception dispels every poison. Homage to you who is asked for your guidance by rulers of Devas, by gods and Kinnaras. Your armor of joy, a radiant brightness, removes every nightmare and calms every quarrel. Homage to you whose eyes are shining with brilliant light like the sun and the full moon. By Tutara and with the twice chanted Hara, you clear away even infectious diseases. Homage to you who can calm down completely through the array of the threefold fatness. Cries of Vetalas, Buddhas and Yakshas, suppressed with the Tura sublime Mother Tara. Together with this, the root mantra in praise form. These were the 21 verses of homage.
Okay, we can stop now.
So that is one way to also accumulate prostrations using the 21 Tara chant. Yeah. Like I said, what you have is, so together you will make, if you want to do for each verse 2 prostrations, then total you can do 45 prostrations. Yeah. Homage to Tara, the noble and sublime, 1. Then followed by 42. That takes us to 43. Then the last 2 lines, 1 each, and that's 45. Yeah. So now let's, what I want to do is, first of all, this one announcement, which is next Wednesday, we're going to start the Ngondro that I've been talking about. It is good to personally make some commitment about the Ngondro practice, although as a group, we will be doing this once a week. But personally, if you want to make your own commitment, and if you want someone else beside yourself to be accountable to, then you can report to me whatever commitment that you want to commit to. I will be talking about this Ngondro practice in a way that doesn't emphasize the accumulations that is often associated with it. Traditionally, 100,000 of each of the parts. And so there are 4 parts to this, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000. But that's not the objective of introducing to you this particular practice. Although, if you want to commit to the 100,000, I'm not going to dissuade you from doing that. But at the same time, you don't want to commit to something that is later on you find to be too big. So anyway, next week I'll talk about, you could commit to saying, okay, I want to do 1,000 of each of these 4 sections so that I finish 1,000 each. And then from there you can say, okay, now I want to 10,000 for each of them. Yeah. This brings some focus. This helps to build some strength. Otherwise, the 84,000 dharmas, and sometimes Tibetans seem to take 84,000 literally. So there's like 84,000 practices that you can be distracted by. Some of you have been in this long enough to have a pile of sadhanas and practices, like the pile of New Yorker magazines that you fail to keep up with, sitting in a corner, staring at you. And every time you walk by it, these sadhanas have this kind of accusing eyes, giving you this dirty look like, so what are you learning now? What other new deities are you going to go flirt around with now? Meanwhile, you have a pile of sadhanas sitting there and then wondering, what am I going to do with this sadhanas? Right? So not very helpful. Not very helpful. It's not a lot of fun to be told, do this, don't do that. And maybe these days it won't even work. If somebody says, do this, don't do that. You're like, no, I want to do that. I feel a connection with that. 3 months, maybe. I've been around long enough to be able to tell you that. I've also been around long enough not to, at the end of 3 months, come back and say, see, I told you. Which is not to say that I have purified the desire to say that to people. See, I told you. Yeah. The desire has not been purified. The control has been put in place. So I will not say that. But ngondro, there's a reason why they're called ngondro. Ngondro means foundational practices, meaning what comes before. And especially the way Jigten Sumgön talks about what comes before, he says what comes before is not like a journey that you have traveled, as in you have passed that stretch, then you're done with it. Not before in that sense, but rather before in the sense of the foundations of a building. Yeah, so these analogies are slightly different. Yeah, the analogy of like, you're here, you're trying to get here. Yeah? Ngondro is over here. Oh, how quickly can I jump over, or finish this beginning so that I can be here, because the scenery is more exciting here. I've heard people say, ooh, after this, the scenery here gets better, right? More exciting things to see, to do, to take pictures of, to post on Facebook, Yeah. So that's one kind of understanding ngondro, as in here, this boring section of the beginning, not much to report home, not much to call home to tell anyone about. And Kyoba Rinpoche said, no, that's not how ngondro should be understood. Instead, he says, ngondro and what comes afterwards should be understood as the analogy is more of a building. Meaning, the way we build a building, we have to start with ngondro, foundation. Then we have to make sure this foundation is always there, that this foundation is always strong. Then you can build the second floor, the third floor, the fourth floor, the fifth floor, never ever being done with the foundation, the ngondro. So his understanding of ngondro is in those terms. Yeah, and ngondro is a general term, actually. Every practice has ngondro. So like tonight, our session, the opening prayers are the ngondro. Then the Tara practice is the main practice. And now the teaching part is the main practice. Then we end with conclusion. Yeah, so that is also called ngondro. So specifically here, when we say ngondro, that I'm going to start introducing you to and give you that practice starting from next Wednesday. That is the ngondro to Mahamudra practice. So it's Mahamudra ngondro, of which there are 4 primary elements. The element of refuge, the element of purification through Vajrasattva, the element of accumulating the 2 accumulations through mandala, and then the element of devotion, Guru Yoga. These are the 4 elements. So again, rather than relating to these practices as things to complete or to get out of the way, it is things to keep building more and more strength in. And the more we turn our attention to refuge, meaning we turn away from the distractions of samsara, we go towards refuge, then that becomes stronger. The more we recognize, right, all the obstacles, all the lapses of vows, all the breaking of samayas, which is constant, all those things, the more we become aware of how easily we create the causes of suffering, the more we become determined to abandon the causes of suffering, which is Vajrasattva. Then as we cleanse, as we clear out, as we purify, we also bring forth the accumulations. At the beginning of accumulation practice, accumulation is something that we have to think in terms of, as the word suggests, accumulating, right? So at the beginning, it's good to have the attitude of, I don't have these good things. I need to go find and to gather. But as you do this accumulation practice, it will switch into an understanding whereby, actually, I have this. It's just that I have misplaced them. So then you begin to uncover the merit and wisdom. And that is the essence of this mandala practice. So mandala practice starts with, in a way you could say, a poverty state. I don't have, I need to go get. We have to start like that. Then at some point when this practice begins to really work, to really work, the attitude of I need to gather and I need to accumulate falls away. And rather, I'm now discovering that all these merit, all this wisdom is actually innate. So this is when, like, in Dzogchen text, in Mahamudra text, more bombastically, it says, there is no accumulating to do. No accumulating to do sounds really great, especially if you are the lazy type. But if you start off with, oh, there is no accumulation to do, well, why even practice Dharma? You might as well go, there is nothing to do. This is no problem. Yeah. Why even waste time with Dharma? Everything is just perfect. It's already Buddha. Okay, ta-ta. You cannot, So if you get misled by the higher teachings, there's no accumulations. Yes, but is that concept or is that through your experience? When it has been raining for 7 days, you have not seen the sun. Are you feeling like, oh, God? And then accumulations is necessary. Yeah, because this is your reality, Things are not going well. Even something like the weather. It's been raining for 7 days. It's so depressing. That means accumulations are necessary. Yeah, it's like saying, oh, then turn on the lights in your house, turn on music, right? In the end, it's not the light, it's not the music, but the music and the light allows you to lift yourself out of the gloominess of 7 days and nights of rain. Yeah, it creates this. So in a sense, yes, happiness don't come from the light. Happiness don't come from music. Comes from inside. Same meaning of these accumulations. That's mandala. Then when you have start to discover this inner wealth, so to say, which is also related to Shambhala practice. When you begin to discover the inner wealth, then you are ready to experience the Guru as Buddha. If you're still in the poverty mind state, no possibility to experience the Guru as Buddha. There will just be doubt. There will just be confusion. There will just be all kinds of crazy projection on what the Guru is. Because you have not experienced your inner wealth yet, So these four, there is a certain logic. Why one leads to the next and to the next and to the next. So that's what we're going to be looking at starting from next Wednesday. And then that will start to become our main practice each time we meet. Then, as I said, yourself, whether you want to do this as a daily practice, as a every other day practice, as twice a week practice, or just once a week on Wednesday night or Thursday morning, depending on where you are, it's entirely up to you. I don't like to get in the business of saying you have to do this, you have to do that. You have to figure out, you know. You have to figure out how you can be better trained. So starting next Wednesday. I had also mentioned that the first weekend of April, there was going to be a Medicine Buddha program with His Eminence. That's temporarily postponed now. There's some stuff going on, and so we're not able to figure out. Also, that first weekend of April, as it turns out, it's Easter weekend. Then also somewhat of an obstacle for many people in Latin America, where it's very much a family time. Again, I don't like to create situations where Dharma is competing with family. That's just not good, especially if you're new to Dharma. So anyway, that is just one reason. There are many other reasons, so that's temporarily not happening, just FYI, just so you know. So now, any questions so far? Either my brief talk about Ngondro or this announcement. Let's see if you have any questions or comments. And so along those lines, Javier will be sending out an email to tell you when the Ngondro text is available for download. In the next couple of days, we'll put it up just in case if anyone would like to get them printed out and all that, you can get all that ready.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
We hear about the fivefold path of Mahamudra.
Mm-hmm.
So is the fifth the dedication, or what is the fifth?
Ngondro is the preliminary to the fivefold path. Ngondro is not the fivefold path.
Okay. Okay.
What is the fivefold path? Now test. What are the five elements?
Well, it's the
Refuge.
it's the
Yes?
refuge.
No,
Vajrasattva.
wrong. No,
Oh,
wrong. That's
the
Ngondro.
four thoughts that turn the mind.
No, wrong.
Bodhicitta,
Bodhicitta,
Idam,
Idam,
Guru Yoga,
Guru Yoga,
Natural State,
natural state,
Dedication.
dedication. That's the fivefold path. Prior to, as the foundation to support the fivefold path, is the Ngondro of the fivefold path, which has the outer preliminaries and the inner preliminaries. The outer preliminaries are the four thoughts that turn the mind. The inner preliminaries are the four: refuge, Vajrasattva, Mandala, and Guru Yoga. Guru Yoga twice. Once in the foundational context, and then once in the Mahamudra context. Next question, comment.
Does every lineage has its own Ngondro?
Yeah, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Then even within the lineage, there are many types of Ngondro as Mahamudra Ngondro. There's long, really long ones, really middling ones, really short ones. The one that we have, that I've chosen, is actually meant for daily practice. Traditionally, what people did is they would do first, at least once, the really long ngondro. And usually they do it in the context of retreat. If you have the circumstances, and by that I mean either monastics, those who live a monastic life, or lay people later in life. You have lay people, because earlier in life there is a lot of demands, you know. Then if you're lucky enough to get to retirement, then lay people sometimes focus on ngondro exclusively. They finish the long ngondro, 1 set, 2 set, 3 set, 4 set, you know. Then even monks and nuns, just because you want to do ngondro, so this is important for us to understand, because we sometimes have these weird ideas about what monks and nuns get to do in Tibet, in Tibetan monasteries and nunneries. You want to do ngondro as a monk and nun? That is not excuse for, oh, I can't go to classes. Oh, I can't serve in the office because I need to do ngondro. Oh, I can't help out in the kitchen. Oh, I can't clean because I need to do ngondro. No, no, no. That is your own business. So if you live in a nunnery, you live in a monastery, everybody has assigned tasks. You go to the morning prayers, you go to the evening prayers. If you are going to school, you go to class. If you are done with school, you are responsible for administration. You go to do your administrative work, you do your kitchen work, you do your cleaning work, you do the taking care of the younger monks or younger nuns work. Then you find your own free time to do your ngondro. And often that means waking up earlier or sleeping later. We have this idea, you know, like, oh, I have become monk. Now I can just, you know, and so this is some problem that happens at Dharma centers. Sometimes people become monks and nuns, suddenly they think, you know, the whole universe will change to serve them. And then the unfortunate misunderstanding in the West is they think, oh, because I'm not Tibetan, so I'm not getting this special treatment. Well, take a trip over to Nepal or Tibet or India and see what you get. First thing is, okay, you want to live here? You want to eat here? Work. Yeah, this is the real world. Even in the monastery, you know, you want to eat? You want us to house you? Work. Then if you say, can I do retreat? Yes. 5 years later. As in, you work. So you work and you gather off time. Really, that's how it's done. You gather off time. You have put in 5-6 years of serving. Like at the protector shrine, you take care of it, you clean it, you know, you prepare the offerings, you do all those things. So people have this really crazy idea that, oh, in the monastery, it's not like this. Oh, no, no, no. In the monastery, you work and you serve. Including like, you know, like us random like tourists that turn up. You go open the shrine room. Some random tourists have turned up. You show them around. Or these are not random tourists. These are like donors for the monastery. Oh, they have arrived. Okay, you better go prepare tea. There's no sitting around, you know, being a monk or a nun. The definition of a monk or a nun is to serve. Or at least that's a big part, you know. Then so just because you say, I want to practice, you know, it doesn't mean that you can. Because this is part of the training. Are you serious about wanting to train? If you are serious, show it. In the end, it's not showing to anyone but yourself. Yeah, it's showing to yourself. So This many years when Khenpo Chapel, one of the Khenpos that came out of Tibet, you know, and he then was exposed to how things are done, you know, in the West in exile, and it's like, it's really strange, you know. He didn't say publicly, but it's like, it's really strange, you know. Back in Tibet, you know, you want to do retreat, okay, you serve, you know, as a monk, as a nun, you serve the monastery. Then you can get, you know, a month off, a year. If you want a whole chunk of a year off, then you have to work, you know, 5-6 years. No off time. You accumulate, like you guys, you know, working at the office. You accumulate your leave so that you can go into intensive retreat for 3 months a year or 1 year. You get your sabbatical, so to say, but you have to earn it. Yeah. So the equivalent in the West here, now that, you know, all us Dharma practitioners don't live in the monastery, don't work in the monastery. Yeah. I mean, to put it very crudely, right, and maybe you think this is wrong, but I think to put it very crudely, you pay. Yeah, that's why you have to give money. Because that's how we, right? This is where we put our worth in. Because money is so important to our lives, you know? Just like time is what they have, effort is what they have. And obedience. You know, this is a word that we don't use much, you know, in this context. But obedience is part of destroying the ego. So then in the West, yeah, you need to have like crazy wisdom teacher, because you come to the center once a week, you know, so then this crazy wisdom teacher will bark at you, you know, because you're not living there, so he cannot bark at you every day. Then if you're lucky, this is actually a crazy wisdom teacher rather than a charlatan. But if you have good merit, you know, even a charlatan, you know, you can get some benefit out of it. But then if you don't have enough merit, and this is a charlatan, and you get barked at, you know, then it's just called abuse. No karma is being purified, even more negative karma accumulates. But obedience, you know, doing what you don't want to do, not at your own schedule, but someone else's schedule. That is the kind of training that you get in the monastery and in the nunnery. But here, you know, everything is to my liking. If I like, I go. If I don't like, I go. If I like what the teachers say, I listen. If I don't like, I cry. Very hard, you know. Not impossible, just really hard. And it's okay if that's our circumstance, but don't fantasize about, you know, becoming like Milarepa. You cannot have your cake and eat it too, so to say. Yeah, then you have to have a more realistic view about what kind of progress you can make, and be okay with it, you know. Personally, I'm okay with it, you know. Not talking about I'm okay with you. You don't need my okay, you know. You are you and I'm me. I'm talking about myself, you know. I'm okay with like, oh, I can't put in the hard work. Then I'm also not expecting that much. Yeah, that we need to be clear about. Yeah. And so in the way it's done in Tibet, you know, like just because you grew up in a monastery, monk or nun, you know, it doesn't mean like you say, oh, I want to do 3-year retreat. They're like, okay, yeah, wait, you know, there are a long list of people trying to get into 3-year retreat. Because in a way, right, it's like us on a 3-year sabbatical. And in a way, it's kind of a luxury. So you want the luxury of attaining enlightenment? Build up your merit. And if you're a monk or nun, it means serving the monastery. Now the question for us is, if we are not a monk or nun, how do we serve? How do we accumulate merit? Yeah. So when a monk or nun starts ngondro the way that we're talking about now, right? When he or she takes refuge, all those years, you know, that training is already there. Which is like the Christian prayer, you know, your will be done, not mine. You know, thy will be done, not mine. So that they are being trained already, you know, growing up. You don't get to say, I don't want to wake up at this time. No, this is when everybody wakes up. I don't want to go to sleep yet. No, lights out, sorry. Then when time comes, you know, that you're doing refuge, you have the stuff for the refuge practice to work. Yeah, I'll be honest, you know, some of you will say, I don't know, I've done 10,000, nothing seems to be going on. Because we don't have the real ngondro before the ngondro. If you don't have the real ngondro before the ngondro, this ngondro also will not work. So there's even a sense, actually, when people want to go into retreat, they'll say, not yet. The teacher will say, not yet, in the monastery. So there are cases of people who insist, and then things go really wrong. Mental breakdown, you know, things like that happens. Because not ready yet. You have not enough training, you know. So this is not to get you discouraged, like, you know, but this is to give you a real idea of how it's supposed to work. Yeah. So be realistic. Yeah. And don't fantasize about, you know, oh, this, oh, that, you know. Look at our own mind and look at our own condition, situation. And ask yourself, you know, in my case, what do I have to do to create those circumstances? When we say create circumstances, you know, it's not like something magical. You know, another way of putting it is, how are you getting yourself ready? So in a way, it's a lot harder for us. Yes. Yeah, because we have to be our own, you know, coach, our own therapist, our own coach, our own therapist, our own guide, because this is our situation. Okay, any questions, comments?
Well, actually, I have a teacher, a Sakchen teacher that came to Guatemala. She said about that even if it is called preliminaries, we shouldn't think that it is like a lesser practice. That actually,
yeah, Jigdan Sumgun, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they don't really mean it. Jigdan Sumgun really mean it. I already told you that. I can tell you, they don't really mean it, you know. They all repeat that. Then they're like, oh, wait. There's this pointing out instruction that is going to come, you know. But Jiten Sumgon, he means it. The rest of them, they're just quoting, and in fact, they even quote Jiten Sumgon, oh, where those who think the preliminaries are not important, preliminaries are really important. They just use that quote to encourage people to get the hard work out of the way. Oh, you finish, Ngondo, yay, okay, now the good stuff comes. In Jiten Sumgon system, no.
But the good stuff is a Nundro. Is the foundation.
Everything is the good stuff.
Yeah. You had to get to the root.
From beginning to end.
Get to the leaves and the berries and the flowers. You had to get to the root. You had to get the
healthy roots, strong roots.
I feel like I've been in retreat since 2015 when I first got sick.
Antonio, you were going to say something.
Well, just that in that sense, we continue doing it, not like a preliminary, but like a maybe continuous practice, even
foundational. Yes, foundational is a good translation, especially in Kyopa's way of talking about these foundational practices rather than preliminary. In the Tibetan, it can be translated as preliminary. It can be translated as foundational. It has both senses. But the emphasis given by Kyopa Rinpoche, then a more accurate translation would be foundational. You always strengthen the foundation again and again and again. But for the purposes of like going through a curriculum, then it happens like a preliminary. So likewise, if you do 3-year retreat, then the first 6 months to 9 months is to finish the Ngondro 100,000s. Yeah, I mean, there is, a program that you're going through, then of course there's a certain linear, right? So my point earlier, where we got to here is there are many different types of this 4 practices, right? This Mahamudra Ngondro, the inner preliminaries. Yeah. So these inner preliminaries, they are the really long ones. And that's the traditional one that is used for 3-year retreat. And so many Drigung Kagyu centers outside of the Tibetan context, whether in Taiwan, Malaysia, here in the West, many of the teachers tend to teach that really long one. Because that is said to be like what is done in retreat. And so they tend to teach that one. Yeah. The one that we have that I'm going to share with you, it's actually called, Gyungkir. Gyungkir literally means for continuity. Yeah. So what does for continuity means is referring to when you have finished your long one time, then to keep strengthening your foundation, you keep this as a daily practice until the end of your life. But now we don't have, we don't have the long one. We're going to go straight to the continuity. Yeah, I'm not teaching the long one, That's like really long. No one will finish it. Or maybe 1 or 2 will finish, Yeah, so it's no, I'm not going to give you the long one. So the Gyungke, the one that will carry you as a daily, you can do that. And finally, you finish when those realizations that I was talking about actually arises. So I wrote about this somewhere I put on Facebook. Some of you remember reading about that, rather than thinking that it's 100,000 to finish, you have 100,000 chances for refuge to arise. You have 100,000 chances for purification to arise. You have 100,000 chances to discover this inner wealth. You have 100,000 chances, to recognize the Guru as Buddha. And not only the Guru as Buddha, but the Guru, the Buddha, and you are inseparable, which is what Guru Yoga is. The Guru is inseparable from the Buddha, and you are inseparable from the Guru. And therefore, Buddha, Guru, yourself, inseparable. That's Guru Yoga. So rather than seeing it as 100,000 to get out of the way, so that you can get to the real stuff, it's 100,000 chances for refuge to arise again and again and again and again. 100,000 chances, for purification, for clearing. 100,000 chances, for you to discover, to accumulate, to discover this inner wealth. 100,000 chances to realize Buddha, Guru, and your own mind is inseparable. Okay, I see that there are things turning up. I have to remind people again and again, yeah? Whatever you write there, I may or may not see. Then the Ngondro is about 1,000, more than 1,000. So I don't know if this is what is the meaning. First, Diana, can you go ahead and ask the question in Spanish? Then I'm sure somebody can help me understand, since I don't know any Spanish. Okay, now somebody can tell me what's going on.
So so Diana, let me just quickly.
Yeah. Or you can chit chat with Diana too to
Diana,
clarify.
La pregunta es si primero son refugios, después acumulación y luego como el orden, ¿no?
Sí, a lo que entiendo la pregunta de Diana es de que si primero se deben hacer 100,000 de acumulación, 100,000 de postraciones.
Yo digo que si primero vamos a hacer 1,000 acumulaciones de refugio y luego haremos postración, otras 1,000 y así. O de que así lo vamos a hacer. Que si primero vamos a acumular refugio en el Buda, en el Dharma, en la Sangha, en la Asamblea Suprema, como refugio hasta alcanzar la iluminación 1,000 veces y luego empezamos con 1,000 postraciones y así. Es la duda.
Okay, so she's asking about, I guess, how we're going to do the Nyandro, if it's going to be, for example, 1,000 refuge prayers, and then we move into prostrations, or how are we going to do it? I think you're on mute. I can't hear you.
You're muted.
It's just me. Yeah.
You're muted.
Yeah. Okay. So answer is, don't worry. When we get to that, you'll find out.
Wow, I could read that in Spanish.
Yeah. So when we get to that point, you'll find out. It's not a surprise. Also don't panic. this is not a trap, you know. So wait, he says when you get there, we'll find out. Are we going to be stuck with it? No, don't worry. You know, the logistical side of things, you know, we can figure that out. Yeah, we'll learn more.
Wow, that was Spanish. I can read that.
Oh, very good. Omniscience is getting closer now.
Hi, I have
Yes.
a question about, well, this reveals how little I know about how this works, the foundational practices in the monastic environment.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, what do people know before they engage in foundational practices in a monastic setting?
They grew up in a monastic setting. They know a lot of things, and they also don't know a lot of things.
I ask because it sounds very interesting to strengthen things that are loose. So I wonder, is this because you rather realize it than conceptually know it, or because, and you already know and you don't need too much?
Yeah, exactly. Most of us know way more about formal dharma than most of them. Yeah, so we know too much.
Dr. Lai?
Yes.
I was looking at this list, the refuge, the Vajrasattva, the mandala, and the guru, and it seems like they're the fail-safes, that when you move on to other stuff and life doesn't go so well or you get confused, you know, it's a natural thing that you fall back into this.
Yes, yes.
Like,
and that should be the attitude that comes up, you know, that you always come back to the foundation.
It's so interesting because even before I saw this list, it happened to me a couple of weeks ago where things went really bad. And the first thing that came to mind is I take refuge.
Yes.
And suddenly I could breathe again.
Yes.
And then Vajrasattva to clear out all that negative crap that came up, excuse the language.
Yeah.
And then, you know, offering the mandala to remember everything is good, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
And guru.
Exactly. So and finally you see the guru, you know. So there is the logic there, and it's a very natural logic, you know. Yeah. We get like trapped in suffering because we lost refuge, right? We lost direction.
Right.
So once we remember refuge, then we remember, you know, oh, this is how I got in this mess. So purification, cleaning. And then when you clean and you clean, you know, on the one hand, you're cleaning out. On the other hand, you are also growing. You realize, oh, actually this crap, forgive my language, you know, it's a means of growing. Then you grow and you're like, oh, actually I am Buddha, you know? Yeah. Yeah. So it's continuously going back to these, you know, this particular unfolding, you know. And again, like if it's just conceptual, it's not habituated. So that's why the 100,000 or the 1,000 or the 10,000, you know, is to habituate this, you know, the way this works.
Some people, a psychologist friend of mine would say to teach the subconscious.
Yeah, to penetrate down to the subconscious level, to get deep down, to do the deep work. Yeah, in other systems, and for some of us, it might work better that way, I think, you know, although some Tibetan teachers will say, no, that's heresy. But for some, it might be actually in the non-Tibetan system, that is to deepen shamatha. To deepen shamatha, to then let shamatha digs deep down. Then vipassana insight can begin to, you know, bleed down to the deeper levels. So shamatha, you know, kind of goes deeper, 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 then insight can actually go in and do its stuff. Because we are very intellectually kind of developed, it is, and it's not a bad thing. Then we have a lot of insights up here, but we don't have the power of shamatha to penetrate down to where things are actually rising up all the time. So if you follow the way of shamatha vipassana in other Buddhist traditions, it's the same concept, It's just that in Vajrayana in Tibetan, it's another approach. So that shamatha and vipassana are joined together, I would say that, at all points of the process. So there's a lot of like characteristics, right? Elaborations. All that is actually related to vipassana. It's related to clear seeing. So the more clearly you see, then the more diversity you see. And the more diversity you see, you also see how the essence are all the same, right? So there's all that seeing, or there's all that blah, 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 so to say. But to be disciplined enough to go back to the blah, blah, blah again and again and again, that's the shamatha. That's the going down from this level to 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 this level. Other questions or comments? If not, we'll do dedication. Starting on page 22.
Wait a minute, what about that full moon? I mean that thing that you put on Phoebe this afternoon about you practice once a month. Do you want to relay anything on that to us?
No.
Okay. Sorry. I promise.
This is not this program. This is some other center want me to do something, and I'm being obedient to Tresor Rinpoche. That's my being obedient. Yeah, I'm not also in the business of saying you can or you cannot. Yeah, but the deal with that is, if again, part of the program from the organizer in Singapore, Rinpoche said, people who have received this transmission from him, they can join. Then it's completely up to you. You think you have received it, you join. If you know you have received it, you want to join, you can join. I'm not going to go there and say, hey, what are you doing here? But no, I'm not announcing it to this group either. So I have a lot of things I have to do for different people,
I'm sorry, Dr. Lai.
No, this is good. I mean, this will help clarify. In fact, I would have planted this question. I didn't even plant it, and you already asked it. So it's good. Yeah, this is all you figuring me out, you guys figuring me out, and I'm figuring you out, This is part of the whole process. So it's a good question, Christina. Yeah, and which is, well, no, I didn't talk about it, because it's some other program that I have to do. And then if you really feel like you have to do it, then yeah, do it, Me telling you you cannot do it will only make it even more, attractive. So I have nothing to say. Page 22, dedication, yeah. Great Vajradhara Tilipa Naropa Marpa Milarepa Dharma Lord Kampopa Pa Modrupa and Conqueror Drigompa, please bestow upon us the most auspicious blessings of all Kayuka Gurus. By this merit, may I achieve the all-knowing state. May all who wander on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating enemies of faults and delusions by the virtues collected in the three times samsara and nirvana, and the innate virtue, and in the primordially co-emergent mandala of the mind. May I realize exalted intention of Jigten Gompo, the indivisibility of the two truths in the exalted form of Vajradhara. In all lifetimes, may I never be separated from the perfect Gurus, but enjoy the richness of the glorious Dharma, having thoroughly perfected the exalted qualities, grounds, and paths. May I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. May the 80,000 classes of obstructors pacify, thus freeing this place from unfavorable and harmful conditions. May harmonious and excellent be established, and with this auspiciousness bring about bliss and happiness. May there be well-being in the world and good harvest, much yield of grain and flourish of dharma. May auspiciousness be established in all places, and all that is wished for fulfilled. May the collection of favorable conditions, resources for the dharma for ourselves and others be fulfilled according to our wishes. May the multitudes of diseases, obstructors, hindrances, and others be appeased and pacified. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase and higher. I pray for the excellent health of the Gurus, and may the supreme life belong. May the Guru's activity spread far and wide, and may I be blessed not to be separated from the Gurus, just as heroic Manjushri knows as it is, and Samanta Bhadra, who is thus as well, so too will I follow in their path and perfect dedicate all the virtues accumulated through this dedication and praise as supreme by the conquerors. 3 times I dedicate all of these roots of virtue to accomplishing the noble deeds by the blessings of the Buddhas. 3 kayas by the blessings of the truth of the unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessings indivisible Sangha order. May these dedication and aspirations prayers be accomplished by the truth, 3 jewels, and the blessings of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and by the great might of the complete perfection to accumulations, and by the strength of the completely pure and inconceivable Dharma to this be attained accordingly by the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara. Nirvana, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. blessings of the truth of the Kagyu Gurus, the excellent three Idams, Dhakinis, and Dharmapalas, may the spiritual and temporal places of the tradition of the second Nagarjuna flourish, whatever harmful discordant faults may arise, may they be pacified, and may they be abundant prosperity and happiness. May the teachings of the great Trikung Paranashri, the all-knowing Dharma Lord, Master of interdependence, continue to increase through study, practice, contemplation, until the end of samsara, by the power of the virtues collected in the accordance with the teachings of the pure realizations. A mistaken teacher, the teachings of Ranashri of Drigung, the protector of the 10th Bhumi, flourish perpetually. May the teachings of the great Drigung Paranashri, this particular prayer was composed by one of the great lamas of more recent times, Mipam Rinpoche of the Nyingma lineage. He composed this particular prayer for the causes for the continuous flourish of the teachings of Jigten Sungden. May the teachings of the great Drigung Paranashri, the all-knowing Dharma Lord, Master of interdependence. So Kyopa Rinpoche is considered the reincarnation of Nagarjuna. So the Nagarjuna is the master of interdependence in the Indian context. Of course, the supreme master of interdependence is Buddha Shakyamuni. But to explicitly teach and elaborate on the topic of interdependence and emptiness, after Buddha Shakyamuni, the main figure in India was Nagarjuna. Then it is said that in Tibet, the main figure to further elaborate on this topic was Kyopa Jigten Sungden. And Khenchen Rinpoche said that Kyopa Jigten Sungden then in particular blended together both the Sutrayana and the Vajrayana aspects of interdependence and taught that. Nagarjuna mostly focused on the Sutrayana logic and reasoning side of interdependence. Then Kyopa Jigten Sungden blended together the Sutrayana and the Vajrayana aspects of interdependence and taught that in a very detailed manner throughout his life. So that's what that particular prayer is from. Okay. Tata, good night. Khenchen Rinpoche continues to offer programs. Those tend to happen on Wednesdays and on Saturdays. Here and there, there's no central place where all this information is available. But if you look at Khenchen Koncho Gyaltsen Rinpoche's official Facebook page, his teachings are usually, information is usually given there. And because Rinpoche's teachings don't give you another deity, another practice, another commitment, so I have no qualms saying, you all should attend those teachings because that gets you to change your mind. And then when you listen to Rinpoche, there's the blessing of his realization. It can come across to you. So that definitely, I will say something about. Yes, of course, take those teachings if you're looking for things to do. If you don't have enough things to do, then definitely, those teachings are very helpful. Okay, good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lai.
Tata.
Gracias.
Gracias.